Hello and welcome to our episode 5 Acolyte review and theory video. Our name is Yugi-Centric, but we are kind of branching out into covering everything that we're interested in.
Like Dean said, we're branching out to cover all different types of content. So hopefully those of you with us currently will enjoy that, and we'll bring a bunch of new members into the community as well. I've always loved Star Wars. I've said it's my favorite IP or fandom, whatever you want to call it. I know Dean loves it, and it's kind of, we're jumping in at the middle of the season, but I guess we'll just get right into it. I think it's a pretty interesting episode to do our first review on. We do have slightly different opinions on the episode, and as a standalone episode, again, like as this being our first review, I actually kind of like this episode, and I think if you were to take it at face value, disregard the prior episodes, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of the prior episodes, this one was definitely the most action packed. And I will say the fighting, I think, even from to give credit where credit's due, even from episode 1, I enjoyed the fight choreography. I think a lot of people agree with that. Like it looks pretty good. The action is pretty adult feeling, and I think from and just to throw this out from the very beginning, there is going to be spoilers in here for anybody trying to avoid that. But and I think this episode 100% proved that, like, the fighting and just straight up killing is very much adult, which is not and I think some actually some what I would consider true Star Wars fans might not actually like that, because the community has been torn for a little while between people who have grown up and been like, oh, I would love like a rated R like Star Wars movie, and then there's people who I think agree on what good Star Wars is that will disagree with that and say, no, Star Wars was never meant to be rated R or this like sort of like violent. But I think this like towed the line perfectly, in my opinion. It kind of gave me that fix of a little bit more like adult violence that I was looking for in Star Wars. And so that part overall, which was the majority of the episode, was this fight scene. We pick up from the previous episode 4 with the crazy powerful force push that this guy just pushes like 6 Jedi back, this mysterious Sith. And yeah, we basically get right into that, and that takes up the majority of the episode. So that being said, that is my explanation for why I like this episode, because I enjoyed the action, and like I said, the fight choreography I think is good, and the kind of brutality of the fight scenes in this. So that being said, the fact that it took up most of the episode kind of just in that way made me say that I liked the episode overall. I do have issues. We'll go to Dean now to say what he liked about the episode, if anything, or if he agrees with my take that I just gave there. And then we'll go to what we didn't like, because I have more. The list of things that I don't like are going to be longer, just because they're more nitpicky and go into detail. But yeah,
I think when you say toe the line for the violence, the snapping the neck is kind of like the line.
Yeah, maybe that's not towing. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking more about like the not that we haven't seen people be stabbed in Star Wars, and to be fair, all these people could come back to life, because in Disney Star Wars, we know if you get stabbed, you don't die. If you get stabbed with a lightsaber, you do not die.
We watched this a little different. You just started. You pretty much binged 3 episodes today, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
To catch up to this, so I feel like I didn't love this episode. You're focusing on the action.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if what you're trying to say maybe is like I got like the payoff, because I I put in all the work binging those episodes, and then that was like the payoff. It just kind of felt a little bit better.
Yeah, like you're not like festering for a week, kind of like with like complaints and stuff. I'm not as negative as I think some of the other online YouTubers are, in terms of my expectations for this are so low. I don't like the twin swap. Like I just feel like it's all just so obvious. Like I don't want to use the word Sith because it doesn't make sense. This isn't that long before Phantom Menace, and in the Phantom Menace they talk about how Sith haven't been around for X amount of years, and now we're just throwing a Sith 80 years or whatever before the Phantom Menace, and it's like, oh, they all forgot about it. That doesn't make sense to me. I think the twin swap is just ridiculous, just so obvious. And I don't know
that
how.
part I really thought was stupid. Cutting her hair with a lightsaber like perfectly the way that her sister is
and
that.
Master Soul, who's supposed to be like they're presenting him as like the Qui-Gon of this era, isn't able to tell.
Okay, well, yeah. So now we don't like because
So
these
like
are
you're just
all on my
blind,
list. Yeah,
I know. So that's my thing. Is like I'm not blinded by some. I guess when you watch it week by week, and that's what I've been doing, and then I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to get. Yeah. I like lightsaber action. Who doesn't? We're like.
Disney Star Wars does not really like
typically no. Yeah,
action.
And this one, it was cool. Some of it. There was a couple shots though where it's like you're gonna show him snapping someone's neck, but then he cuts. You're
gonna do like the shaky cam and like not show some of the fight. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and like put it behind a tree and it's like pitch black and like so I just don't get some of the like have the full balls have the full balls to do it all then.
Yeah. No,
like, I thought they were trying to keep it a little more kid friendly when he like which was cool. He like stabbed the one guy, force pushed the other guy into the saber that was already
pulls the other one in
but then they go behind the tree when he slices them, and I'm like, all right, they're trying to keep it a little more like PG, and then he just snaps his neck.
But even like skewering two guys onto the one lightsaber, like to your point, they're not really trying to hide it or make it kid friendly. So like, yeah, it's either I would agree with that, like go all or nothing type of deal.
And they're just making this guy so OP.
Yes. Okay. So we'll go back to we'll wrap up that one point.
Then he gets beat by bugs, but whatever.
for the moment, but like that was kind of silly. But we'll wrap up that one point because this was on my list of issues with the episode. Is like you said, none of the Jedi in there. They previously meet this guy in the prior episode. Nobody's able to tell that he is a Force user, which is, for the most part, pretty unheard of. The only person, and this is where I take issue with it, is the only person that we know of in the, I'm not going to say in canon, but in movies, pretty much is Palpatine, who was able to, for decades, mask the fact that he was a Sith or a Force user in general, and none of the Jedi Council during the time of the Republic in episode 1, 2, and 3, some of the most powerful Jedis that we know on screen, were not able to pick up that he was a Sith or a Force user, which is, that's, in my opinion, that's fair to attribute that to someone as powerful as Palpatine. And now we're going to say that this person, who very well, they could be making him out to be a super powerful ancient Sith or something like that. Another issue, not the fact of him being powerful, but the whole Sith thing in general is another issue I'll get to in a minute. But just like the fact that we're trying to make this guy's power level akin to Palpatine is just we need some more background to understand how that's possible. Because
but he's not calling himself a Sith. He said, "Well, you might call me a Sith." But,
so
and I don't love.
That's my other issue, is that he's making it out to be like, oh well, the Jedi call us Sith because we want to practice the Force differently and do things our way or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not. Again, a lot of the knowledge, this like useless information that I have from my childhood about Star Wars, is probably considered legends at this point, but to me it's still all canon. And regardless, I think even in the current canon that we have, the Sith are their own, essentially, a religion. If you want to consider like the Jedi a religion, the Sith are a completely separate quote unquote religion with their own beliefs, their own practices. And and I mean, going back to Legends, they even descended from an actual race of aliens, whatever. But like, there's a distinct what's it called? They're a distinct group that call themselves Sith. It's not like an arbitrary thing like he's making it out to be, like, oh well, that's what the Jedi call us just because they don't like us. No, like if you're either a Sith or you're not. Again, this could be something where maybe he's not technically a Sith, and that's how they're going to dance around the fact that the Phantom Menace line of the Sith haven't been around for 1,000 years, and how did nobody remember this? Whatever. Also, on that note, to be fair, like if he kills everybody who would remember him, I guess, whatever. But then you have the people in the, I guess you would call them the Jedi Council in the earlier episode discussing this, and basically alluding to the fact that he couldn't be a Jedi, and essentially they know that there's some dark Force user or a Sith running around.
Is this Master Soul's like past Padawan?
It couldn't be, because he met him without the mask.
Yeah, true.
Right? Like, so that,
I just got that vibe.
Well, yeah,
just the way
they made it seem like I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, they made it seem like when he was just like, you don't remember me, and he's like, you do seem familiar, or something like that, and then but I can't imagine that they're actually doing a callback to like the previous episode, like 2 days ago, when they met in the little apothecary or whatever. Like, if that's what he's referring to, like, you don't remember me, like, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I hope that's not what they're doing a callback to. They made it, but yeah, they made it seem like they had a history. But again, like, how could they if he saw him face to face, like, literally a day prior? Unless, to go down the rabbit hole, he was like a small child, and the Jedi came and like stole him, and they were like, no, this one's not good, and they left him. Like, they're probably gonna do some stupid shit like that. Let's be honest.
That's most likely.
Put it past.
I mean, all this has been pretty predictable. So, I mean, again, watching those episodes, you knew that was the Sith, correct? I don't remember his name.
Yeah. So that's actually probably the last thing here on my list of things I didn't like is, so the fact that it was so predictable, and maybe this is me giving them too much credit, but call back again to episode 1, we know that the Sith work in twos, right? There always two there are, as Yoda says.
Mm-hmm.
So this person that the one of the twins that he's training he's not referring to her as his apprentice. He's calling her an acolyte, which, again, in Legends, there have been plenty of like dark side acolytes at different times that are not considered actual Sith or apprentices, whatever. But two things. That means to me that this guy, can't remember his name now, but some people are calling him Smilo Ren. I think that's kind of funny. But so this guy, in my opinion, might have a master. I don't necessarily believe, if, again, this is all assuming that he actually is a Sith, and going by the episode 1, which I hope and pray is still considered canon, the Sith have the rule of 2, where there's always 2 of them, no more, no less. And I think that would be kind of cool. Khmer. Okay.
If that's how you pronounce it, I don't even know.
So, I think that would be kind of cool if this guy actually had a master who was even more powerful and badass than this guy.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Like I said, this might be giving them too much credit. It would, if we were going based off of good storytelling, I think making this so obvious would be for like the real misdirect, that like this guy seems like super powerful and whatever, but he's actually not the big bad. Like, there's the big boss is above him, this like actual Sith maybe, or something. I don't know what else. Also on that also on that note, you know, we have to do a lot of assuming and giving maybe too much credit, like I previously mentioned. If this guy is an actual Sith and maybe he does have a master, right? He's like technically the apprentice, he's being trained. What we do know from a lot of the legends of the ancient Sith, or even Sith at this time period, or just Sith in general, are always looking to usurp their master, right? So this guy, I think, could be potentially trying to train this girl, the Acolyte, in order to the way that they usually go about it then would be to train someone else up to become their apprentice, and then they would go and kill the Sith Lord, the master. That would I listen, if I was writing the show, that's what I would do. I think that would be really cool.
Would it be, and I we have to see if the timing works out, could it be Darth Plagueis's?
Potentially. And now we're going big into theory here, and like this
all right, so pause. Let's give our score real quick for this episode, because I would like to do this for everything we do going forward. Sure. If you had to score this, what would you give it?
Are we scoring it relative, or we just on TV shows, or like relative to this series?
It has to be. I think it has to be overall, like, because I think we need to stay consistent.
5.
Oh, that was higher than I thought you were gonna go.
I mean, yeah, I'll stay with a 5, because like, I did like it. Like if I just threw that episode on, like I said, not knowing anything else, I'd be like, oh, this is like almost like a cool like Star Wars like Visions episode. You know what I mean?
Yes, but okay, yeah. So I'm gonna go 4.5, because again, like I said, like if I didn't watch the episodes and I was like, oh, this is interesting. The dialogue sucks. Every time they talked, I was like, all right, just shut up. I don't want to. I don't want to listen. I have no feel. And that's the thing. It's like they're doing the old like the Jedi are the bad ones trope, which has been done before.
Also on my list, yeah.
Which has been done before, and it's been done better than this.
Yeah.
And we don't have any connection with these characters, so it's and same with like the making the Sith they're doing this with all villains now, because you can't just have a villain, you can't have a bad guy.
Yeah.
Most shows and movies, I feel like, are like going away from that. It's a complicated person.
They're just misunderstood, and like,
yes,
you know, we get it. The good guys, the Jedi in this situation are not perfect, you know, but the thing is, and I think what you're referring to maybe is like the whole, like, obviously the Darth Vader arc of like that, and we know how that worked out for him. Like, he believed that like the Jedi were evil. But the whole point of that entire, you know, incredible storyline is that like he learns in the end that he was wrong, and like there was no, it wasn't worth it. Essentially,
there's very few characters you could do this with. So like for example, like this character Keem, or whatever his name is, we have no connection to him, so I don't really care when he's like I just want to train. Like, you have to build up, and yes, he was introduced in previous episodes, but the example I'm going to give is Loki. Loki is like the one villain, whatever, anti-hero, whatever you want to call it, that has like a decent character arc where you understand the point of view and you somewhat feel for them. But even that kind of got tiresome. And the other one, I guess you could say, is Thanos, because it's like, oh, you understand why he's doing what he's doing, but it's still evil.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's still evil. So it's like, he's still a bad guy. Like, yes, you understand a little more what he's doing, but I feel like with this, it's like they're really trying to make you feel for the bad guys and like be on their side over the Jedi. Yeah, but it
doesn't work, because the Sith are actually bad guys. Like they're like I said, they're distinct. And again, this is going on the assumption that this character is actually a true Sith or whatever, but the Sith have their own practices and ways of using the Force that are just, I think, on a basic level, they're just instinctually they're evil. Like they talk about using your hate to, you know, having your hate flow through you, and they'll, you know, attack when somebody's unarmed, or they'll, you know, they're using their powers for aggression rather than defense. So like all these things are just like they're the natural villains, and they don't really hide it. That's their way, and that's where I don't understand that. Like, I mean, it goes without saying that these people don't know the actual lore of Star Wars.
Well, I think they've come out and said it. I think most of the people in the writers' room all didn't write Star Wars, and I think they did that on purpose. I believe I saw that in a video. That majority of them hadn't actually watched Star Wars, and they wanted people who didn't watch Star Wars so they wouldn't be tied down by certain things. But
I mean, that's fine, but like you can't, like, this is something that's so concrete that you can't, like.
But also, then don't get upset.
That.
Don't get upset when actual Star Wars fans are. I'm surprised because again, I'm more of a Lord of the Rings guy than you are. You're more Star Wars guy than and I'm more Lord of the Rings. Although we're both very much into both. Who read a lot more Legends, quote unquote, books and comics and videos than I did. So I feel you should be more offended about this than I am.
Well, that's the part, but that's why I said like the list of things that bothered me is longer because it's very like it's all these like detailed things, and some of them are just blatantly obvious. Like you can't take that approach with the Sith and the Jedi. Like they're just like the Sith are openly evil. They are the bad guys. There's no way around that. Like, yeah, they can have an arc where they're misunderstood and they maybe like they get manipulated, like Kylo Ren, like Anakin. But the difference is they always turn around in the end and they're like I messed up, and then they come back to the light. It's like it's I mean it's literally called the light and the dark side. You can't like you're not going to tell me that somebody from the dark side is just like being oppressed by the Jedi. Like that's not it. And again, I'm not saying the Jedi are perfect. They're clearly making them commit some sort of atrocity that we haven't seen yet. That's been off camera or whatever. But still, it just in this scenario that sort of storytelling doesn't work for me.
All right, let's just go through theories real quick. One, he was definitely a Jedi, or he was trained as a Jedi, hence why he knows like certain Jedi code. Like you're not supposed to attack me from behind, or when my back is turned, then you're not supposed to attack someone who's unarmed, all that stuff. So I think he was whatever. We're saying he wasn't Master Soul's apprentice, which makes sense because he would have recognized him. Although I feel like they're hinting at that. Maybe Master Soul took him from a planet. I don't know. I can't tell the ages of these people. They've thrown that all out the window. He's in the show.
Hold on, I have one more thing positive to because I do really like when shows do this just in general. In this situation, it's for like a little bit of a different reason. But one thing that I did really like is that what ended up happening in this episode is most of the main cast got killed off. It's almost that's like kind of a plus. Like we get like a fresh slate of like some of like the better characters were left alive. Like I don't mind Master Soul as much, but like the little like annoying Padawan, did not expect them to actually just straight up clap her up like that. Like I didn't think I didn't think they were actually gonna like. I thought she was gonna get force pushed off to the side and like they leave it for another day type of thing, but they straight up
I agree with that. I like how they
so I think that's a good thing that we get like a little bit of a clean slate, and some of the more annoying characters, like the guy who got his neck snapped, was not a fan of him. Just as I think he was just a bad actor. Actually, like he was just very, I don't know, hard to watch him on screen. He got erased from the show now.
Hopefully.
Well, I mean, if neck snapping doesn't take you out of the game anymore either, that it is Disney Star Wars. We'll see what happens. That was the last thing that I forgot to add to my positives is that like, and in general, like I said, it's for a different reason in this case, but in other shows, like for example, Invincible, a show that we both like, I really like that whole like misdirection where it's like starts off as like kind of like a normal show, and then you're like, whoa, like all the characters just got wiped out. Like what's going to happen now? So that's.
Look, I'm not closing the door on it. Like I said 4.5, but that's because my bar right now for Star Wars is so low. It's $180 million show, and it just does not. I'm not getting the vibe that it's $180 million. 3 episodes left. We'll be reviewing all of them. I think we'll dive deeper into some theories. Now, I don't know if there's supposed to be a season 2. I don't know. It's getting really weird with it's gonna get confused. How do they, right?
I don't know.
When does Yoda make an appearance? Next episode?
Is he supposed to?
How do they not have him?
So, well, there was a comment from I think it was Leslie Headland, that said somebody brought up the Ki-Adi-Mundi being in the show and whatever, sarcastically or not. She made a comment that like Yoda was not tech available for the show, so we threw Ki-Adi in.
I don't know if I buy that.
I think
if that's true, and this show costs $180 million, and you can't do a puppet or a CGI Yoda, then there's a bigger problem here.
But I think they couldn't, for maybe a good reason. I think somebody might have like told her like, no, like we're not letting you put Yoda in the show. And whoever did, if that's the reason why, whoever did that, we applaud you, because they would have found a way to mess that up most likely.
You know what though? My problem with that is it makes no sense for him not to be appearing in this at all, unless
I agree. Yeah,
they kill everybody and then no one ever finds out about this. Maybe that's how they don't know about the Sith being around, is because. But Ki-Adi-Mundi was part of the episode. So many problems. We don't want to hit 30 minutes. We want to stay under that. Any last thoughts?
No, I mean, like, just last, like, I already kind of gave my theory. I think that this guy is not maybe the big bad, and potentially he's looking to overtake his master. And we'll see. If they did that, I think this show could have some potential. Don't love it overall still, but for our episode 5 review, as I said, standalone episode, didn't hate it.
The last thing I'll say is we have to look at the time span, but I think there's a set, like you're saying he is a master. It's Palpatine, Plagueis, and then whoever Plagueis' master was, something with a T, I think. I forget what it was.
Tenebrous, yeah.
Tenebrous. So
yeah.
Where does he fall in? Where does he fall in then? 30-minute mark. Bye.